The Los Angeles Clippers went from an overachieving 8 seed to title favorites. I mean, in my eyes, they're probably title favorites. It's either them or the Sixers, or maybe the Bucks are in there. But they threw themselves in there in a hurry. Nobody saw them as even really Western Conference Finals contenders until they made their moves. They added Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and some decent bench pieces. And nobody saw this trade for Paul George coming. I thought he was going to be on the Thunder for the remainder of his contract. I thought the Thunder were going to figure some things out. I thought Russell Westbrook was going to finish his career on the Thunder. But anyway, that's not for this preview. The Clippers traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, their 2022, 24, and 26 first-round picks, swap rights for their 23 and 25 first-round picks, and the Miami Heat 2021 and 23 first-round picks. This is the largest amount of picks traded in history for anybody. They broke records with this trade, and that was because Kawhi was like, hey, I'll come sign with the Clippers if you can get my guy Paul George. And Paul George was like, hey, trade me to the Clippers, please. And the Clippers just, that shut up and take my money meme from like 10,000 years ago? That's what that was. They just threw all their first-round picks at him, and they were like, here you go, whatever. Gimme. And so then Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were on the Clippers. And this 48-win team who just signed Patrick Beverley to a 3-year, $40 million extension. This team that was not supposed to make the playoffs after trading Tobias Harris. This team just added 2 MVP/Defensive Player of the Year candidates. Now, if that doesn't make a team a title contender, I don't know what does. Last season, they were the 9th best offensive team, which you can absolutely expect to go up. They had 112.4 offensive rating. They were the 21st best defensive team, aka bottom 9, aka the 9th worst, with 114.3 defensive rating. And they only had 3 above average defenders in Pat Bev, Montrezl Harrell, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's not even on the team anymore. They won 48 games, snuck in as the 8th seed, and like I said before, way overachieved after the Tobias Harris trade, which they got Shamet and I think the Miami first-round pick that they sent to OKC for Paul George. And they'll be much, much, much better this year. 48 wins with that team last season, that's a huge accomplishment, and I think they'll do even better this year. Like I said, their big names that they added in free agency were Kawhi and Paul George, and they also re-signed Patrick Beverley. They added bench pieces like Rodney McGruder, Mo Harkless, and Patrick Patterson. They also brought back JaMychal Green, but Rodney McGruder, Mo Harkless, JaMychal Green, they're all pretty decent defenders. Mo Harkless is the best one out of all of them. Patrick Patterson is really just a flyer. They threw a minimum at him. He was awful for OKC. He was supposed to be a great stretch big, but he didn't shoot very well. So let's hope that he's better for the Clippers, because if they get the OKC Patrick Patterson, then they might as well cut him. They have a lot of three-point shooting on this team. Shamet shot 45% on 6 attempts. JaMychal Green, 41% on 3 attempts. Pat Bev, 40% on 3.6 attempts. Paul George, 38.6% on 10 attempts a game. Kawhi Leonard, 37% on 5 a game. I mean, you get it. I think Lou Williams shot 36%. This is a good three-point shooting team. That's probably part of the reason that they were the 9th best offense last year. And now they added 2 MVPs. Well, neither one of them have won MVP yet, but they're MVP caliber players. And they also brought in some solid rookies, Kabengele and Terrence Mann. They can shoot fine, but I don't expect them to play much. They're not exactly difference makers at this point in their career. For me, the Clippers are likely a top 7 offense, especially if Paul George has a season similar to what he had last year. He was my MVP for a little while, and then, he fell off after the All-Star break, and OKC fell apart, and it made me upset, because I wanted to see Paul George come back like that, but, maybe he'll come back on the Clippers. I don't think he needs to. I think he can carry less of a weight than he had to in OKC if he wants to, but you never know. Maybe he'll play like 75, 78 games and have an MVP caliber season. And they'll have a top 5 defense easy. I mean, They were a bottom 10 defense last year, but they only had 3 above average defenders. Now they've got Patrick Beverley, Mo Harkless, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Rodney McGruder's pretty good, JaMychal Green's alright. This is a good team. This is such a good team. I mean, they're definitely going to be top 7 in both offense and defense, at least. And their best defensive lineup that they can throw out there is probably Pat Bev, Paul George, Kawhi, Mo Harkless, who are interchangeable at the 3 and the 4, and Montrezl Harrell. I mean, when somebody calls switch and then you get PG or Kawhi or Pat Bev switched on you, I mean, what are you going to do? This team's going to be so good defensively. And I think it's really good that they got these stars, especially for the Battle of LA, because they're going to need somebody to contain LeBron and Anthony Davis. I don't think he'll contain either one of them, but Kawhi and Paul George can do a decent job in at least slowing them down. PG, Kawhi, Pat Bev, Zubac are all guaranteed the next 2 years, so they at least have them until the 2021-22 season. Paul George and Kawhi have player options for that year, which they may accept or they may decide to move on somewhere else. But anyway, this year, realistic expectations, 2 or a 3 seed, kind of what I said with the Lakers. It depends on if they rest Kawhi and PG. If they rest them both, it's probably a 3 seed, maybe a 4 seed even. But they'll have like 53 to 58 wins. So, maybe even a 1 seed. I don't know what Denver's going to do. I don't know if the Lakers are going to do anything like that. But I think realistically a 2 or a 3 seed. And, it really just depends a lot on rest. If Kawhi plays 60 games this year, if Paul George plays 60 games this year, then they're probably a 3, almost a 4 seed. But if they play like 75 plus games, who knows? I mean, they might be a 1 seed or a 2 seed. And maybe they'll win 60 games. Who knows? Best case scenario is a 1 seed, Kawhi and PG play 75 plus games, but I absolutely would not play them 75 plus games if they have injury problems. I mean, Paul George's shoulder has been messed up the last couple years. Kawhi's quad's been messing him up, or whatever he was injured with. You saw it in the finals against the Warriors. He was looking kind of injured. He said that if he had played a full regular season, then he wouldn't have been able to play like he did in the playoffs. So I think probably playing them like 60, 65 games is a safe bet, just to make sure they're healthy for the playoffs. What else would make this a best case scenario? Would PG and or Kawhi have MVP/Defensive Player of the Year caliber seasons, which is totally possible. I think if Kawhi Leonard plays 70, 75 games, he might be in the talks for Defensive Player of the Year. I know there's Giannis in there. I know Paul George was in there last year, and Rudy Gobert, all those names. But Kawhi Leonard's won Defensive Player of the Year before. I mean, who's to say he won't do it again this season? But they also need good play from Patrick Patterson and the rookies. Like I said, the rookies probably won't play much, and Patrick Patterson was terrible for OKC. But if they play good, that's just more depth that they can add to their roster, because it's already pretty deep. They've got some pretty decent role players, and they've got a great starting 5. These guys are definite title contenders, and for me, they're title favorites. I think they have the best chance to win the title. I think the second best chance, it's either got to be the 76ers or maybe the Lakers for me. I don't know about the Bucks. I don't know what to think about the Bucks. Maybe the Bucks. We'll have to see what Giannis does, because really a lot of it depends on Giannis. Either way, these guys are my title favorites, and honestly, I can't wait to see the Battle of LA this season with these guys. This is going to be a very entertaining season, and these guys are going to be great. Bring the Clippers and the LA rivalry, I don't want to say back, but they might bring it up, make it an actual thing.